we're going to go to 15th and hopefully you can do 16th also. So these four verses now, they're going to change tracks. I think there was a picture I had from the beginning. I can give you an overview. This one, right? So 9 to 11 and 12 to 14 were guidelines. Okay. And then this last section is about prayers. So 15 and 16 is a 15 and 16 is a prayer for Krishna to reveal his face to us. Right? So that's it. So getting to know more, getting to know Krishna more. And the last two are, again, there are prayers for the practices that I'm doing in this material life, that they be obstacle free. Yeah, so those are the prayers. So that's the transition that we are happening. So it's the last now. These are prayers that we're going to refer to. Specifically, 15 and 16 both will talk about Krishna. I want to see your face. Go beyond the effulgence of your Brahm Jyoti. I want to see your face. And then the 17, 18 is going to be about protecting from material obstacles and remembering what I have done. Om Kritosmara Kritam Smara, Kritosmara Kritam Smara. The speaker is going to say that. Please remember what I have done for you. So that's the last section that we're going to get into from today. And okay, so let's start with the 15th ones. Hiranmayena patrena satyastapihitam mukham tattvam pushan apavarnu satya dharmaya drishtaye. O my Lord, sustainer of all that lives, your real face is covered by your dazzling effulgence. Kindly remove that covering and exhibit yourself to your pure devotee. So it's a very simple, straightforward prayer that, I can't see you. Your face is covered by your effulgence. Effulgence is the Brahmajyoti. Prabhupada is explaining that in the purport. And I want to see you beyond your effulgence. So the important thing to understand and to highlight here is your dazzling effulgence. That many times people, some sections of followers, they say that, oh no, Krishna is Brahmajyoti is kind of beyond Krishna, right? But then Krishna himself in the 14th chapter, Prabhupada is quoting to that. He says, Brahmano hi Pratishtaham, that I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman. I am the basis of the effulgence that you are seeing. And that's the effulgence that is being referred to here. The speaker is asking the Lord to remove that effulgence. Please remove that effulgence. I would like to see your face. And so it's just a heartfelt prayer coming from a devotee, right? So this mantra, or this section actually, the 15th and 16th, both of them is appealing to take me beyond that white light, right? Progressing from the Brahman realization, which is the effulgence, to Paramatma feature, and then eventually the Bhagavan feature, realization, Krishna in this personal form. So true spiritual realization requires transcending impersonal conceptions of the divine and embracing a loving relationship with Krishna as Bhagavan. So the first aspect that's being talked about here is transcending the dazzling effulgence. So the Brahmajyoti is the impersonal aspect of Krishna. And that's the starting point of realization. It's very similar to admiring bright sunbeam while being unaware of the sun itself. And as Prabhupada is quoting, Brahmano hi Pratishtaham, I'm the basis of the impersonal Brahman. Just imagine, like, you have gone to a big feast, right? Something like a marriage in India, a huge feast, but you only taste the appetizer and you come back home. So you're left hungry for the full feast. Similarly, if we just go up to the Brahman platform or understand this effulgence aspect or this all-pervasiveness aspect, all-pervasive aspect. It's very much like we went to a party but didn't eat. We came back home hungry, right? And the speaker is asking that, can I see you beyond your veil that you have? So the speaker wants to experience Krishna in his personal form. And Krishna himself also agrees that. Where in the Bhagavad Gita does Krishna say that there's nothing beyond him? Which verse would that be? You all can hear me?
Yes, Prabhu.
Oh, you can hear me. Okay, that's good. So yes, in which verse does Krishna say that there is nothing, that I am the supreme, there is nothing beyond me?
हम सर्वस्य प्रभो अतः सर्वं प्रवर्तते.
Yes. Ham sarvasya prabhavo mata sarvam pravartate.
मत्तः भजते मां भूतः.
Aham sarvasya prabhavo mata sarvam prabhavo. Which verse is that? That's 10th chapter. Which verse? 10th and 10th?
7.7.
And
7. That's 7.7.
I think so.
I don't.
Well, Aham sarvasya prabhavo is 10.8. That comes in the Chaturshloki Bhagavad Gita. 10.8 to 10.11. The one that you are referring to, probably Rasala Prabhu, is 7.7 and Mata Paratram Nanyat Kinchidasti Dhananjaya.
Right.
That's 7.7, I think. Yeah, you're right. So that's also a very good verse too. So these two verses clearly tell us that there is nothing beyond Krishna. Aham sarvasya prabhavo mata sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvita. 10.8. And the Chaturshloki Bhagavad Gita, we all should know that. 10.8 to 10.11.
Yes.
And then 7.7, right? Mata paratram nannet kinchidasti dhananjaya mai sarvam idam protam sutre mani ganaiva. So Krishna gives a very good analogy that I'm like the thread going through the necklace, pearl necklace that's there. So yes, so we are constantly told, even by Krishna himself, that there is nothing beyond him. Even then, despite that, impersonalists, people who don't believe, they just bring their own agenda and say that no, Krishna is not supreme. So, but then the speaker here, the devotee, he's very simply asking, Krishna, remove this veil. So it's very much like that, it's just beyond my capacity to remove this and see. So please help me out, Krishna. Right? And Krishna's personal form, and then the author or the speaker does not want to see the personal form just because it's a form, right? No, but there's beauty in it. There is a loving relationship in that, right? There are many verses in the 10th canto. I think is Prabhupada quoting any of them there? He quotes, I think, one verse. Oh yeah, this 10, 12, 11. Itam satam brahma sukhanubhutya dasyam gatanam paradaivatem maya shritanam naradarakena sakam vijrahu kritapunya punja. Right? That the verse is saying here that there are people, they're gyanis, there are people who are serving you, right? And then there are people who think that you are just a normal kid, that you're a nara, right? But then there are devotees who are playing with you in Golokan. So what must have they done to attain that position? That they are practically jumping on your shoulder, they are fighting you, stealing away your lunch from you. So what pious activity have they done that they have attained that position? Sakam vijrahu krita punya punjam. What punya they have done? So the purpose that the speaker wants that veil to be removed is because there is a loving relationship. And in this verse that we just reading here, 10, 12, 11, it celebrates how the cowherd boys, through lifetimes of piety, get to play with Krishna, the absolute truth. Those who see Krishna as Brahman, as this impersonalist, they miss out on playing with Krishna. Now, once Prabhupada was was just relaxing, and he was saying that, oh, I just want to go back home and play with Krishna. I want to eat samosa with Krishna. So that's the pure devotee. That devotee, pure devotee's mind, that how can I go and play with Krishna? So it underscores how Bhagavan realization leads to intimate, joyful exchanges that far surpass the impersonal meditation. Those people stuck at the Brahmajyoti level, they're practically just watching the trailer of the movie and then skipping the whole movie. That's what they're doing. So it's a very pitiable position to be in, right? So that's what Prabhupada is talking about here in the purport. And I think there is yeah. So Prabhupada is divided his purport into explaining to us how Krishna is the basis of Brahman and Paramatma, and then how does he reveal himself, and what can take us to that Bhagavan concept. How can we connect with Krishna on that level? So that's the way Krishna Prabhupada has primarily distributed his purport. But overall, the concept is still that don't get entrapped in the Brahman or the Paramatma platform. The Bhagavan platform is the supreme. Yogi Ram api sarvesham mad gatenan antaratmanah Shraddhavan bhajate yomam same yukta tamamata. This is the second last verse of the second last or the last verse.
Last.
47, yes, of the 6th chapter. So all the yogis who worship Krishna with faith and devotion, they get to enjoy the highest and the most intimate relationship with Krishna. So only bhakti can unlock the door to Krishna's personal form. It's like a VIP pass in spiritual realization. Like Prabhupada said, right? You all keep holding to my dhoti, and I'll take you back. I have a key to the back door to Goloka. So bhakta sanjayate bhakta. Bhaktya. That a devotee gives us devotion. So when we try to do it by ourselves, we fall trap to these aspects, these other philosophies, right? Impersonalism and all that. They look attractive for sure. In this world nowadays, impersonalism is more attractive. It sounds very fancy and modern, but overall, it's just to be in a foolish place, right? So, and then we have talked about these 3 platforms many times in the past, so I won't go into detail, right? The one thing was how there were 3 kids looking at a train coming to their platform for the first time. The first one hears the sound, the second one sees the light, but the third one sees the whole train, right? So it's not like the train was incomplete for the first and second kid. It was complete. So the problem is in the way I perceive these Brahman and Paramatma features. They are not incomplete. They're just inadequately perceived by the seer, right? So yes, so we have talked about these 3 platforms in the past. Prabhupada, he talks about this, so he brings out a point that the personality of Godhead Shri Krishna is always filled with transcendental bliss. Anandamayo abhyasat. Excuse me. When he was present at Vrindavan in India 5,000 years ago, he always remained in transcendental bliss, even from the beginning of his childhood pastimes. And then Prabhupada talks about that. And then he says, all his associates enjoyed celestial bliss by his stealing. Okay? So Prabhupada is using 2 words, I highlighted those, transcendental bliss and celestial bliss. So I like how Prabhupada is using these words. Someone tell me, what do you mean by the word transcendental? If somebody asks you, what is this word transcendental? What would you tell that person? Let's see who all are there. Should I pull up? Anybody wants to speak up? Achyut Radhe Mataji, do you have something on mind?
Yeah, I think it means that is uncontaminated, pure bliss, of the realization of the Supreme Personality.
Uncontaminated, pure bliss realization of the Supreme Personality. Okay, okay, that's good. Anything, anybody else? Anybody else has thoughts?
Prabhu, it's spiritual, it's not material, it's
It's not material. Okay, that's a good point you bring out. It's beyond the three modes. Yeah, that's good. What else? You said spiritual. So, uh, so we can be transcendently spiritual, right? That's what you're saying. So what I'm trying to understand is transcendental and spiritual separate, or is it the same thing?
it's same.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's right. Transcendental. So, uh,
It,
yes, please go ahead.
Prabhu, in Hindi we say Divya, right? Transcendental.
Divya, yes.
Yeah, so it's Divya means beyond beyond perception, means it's Divya, right? It's beyond the imagination, beyond our understanding, beyond perception.
Mhm. Well,
I think the good way to is by contrasting the spiritual with by saying beyond the material or like the physical realm. So when you contrast it to the spiritual, you get a better understanding.
yeah, that's also a good point. Yes.
Is
So
it
yeah,
beyond the senses, Prabhu? Like,
yes, beyond senses, beyond the three modes, right? So this material world, we are living under the influence of the three modes. So anything above the three modes is transcendental. And in transcendental, there could be a generic spiritual, like awareness of Atma, the Brahman, all that is generic spirituality. And that is transcendental spiritual. And higher than a spiritual awareness is devotional awareness. So when we understand Krishna is God, I am his part, and I'm meant to love him and serve him. Right? So then it becomes devotional. So transcendental devotion. So devotion is also spiritual, but at a higher level. That's the way I'm trying to look at it. So because in devotion there is a perception of personality and reciprocation, which might not be there in spiritual. Right? Spiritual can mean also that I understand that I'm not this body, I'm a soul. That's also a message Krishna has given in Bhagavad Gita. So that's also spiritual. That I'm spiritual in nature. The beauty of devotion is that we can be devotees even while being in the three modes, right? For example, that's the magnanimity of bhakti. That even if I'm in a mode of ignorance, I can practice bhakti and experience some devotion. But I cannot experience that ananya bhakti, right? That pure devotion. So we can. So as Krishna, I think he says that, right? What is that? That I can transcend the modes by practicing bhakti. Right? So Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma na shochati na kanshiti sama sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhaktim labhate param. That bhakti is the summit of spirituality. And there are two words that Prabhupada was using here, transcendental and celestial. I really like those words when I was reading this purport. So transcendental, as we have talked about, right? Spiritual, it's eternal, beyond this material nature. It's connected to the Supreme's, Krishna's divine realm, pastimes. Celestial is, Prabhupada uses this word celestial across his books. And many of the translations that he's done for verses, he uses this word celestial. And it's most of the time Prabhupada has used the word celestial to talk of higher planes, higher planetary systems, like heavenly planetary systems. Right. So that's something that Prabhupada is highlighting here, that Krishna, when Krishna comes, he's showing his pastimes to everybody. And the purpose is that people can connect with him and eventually go back home, back to Godhead. And that comes across many verses across Bhagavatam also. Krishna says in the 10th canto, the chapter for Raslila dance, 33rd chapter. Krishna says that not Krishna, who's that? Sukadev Goswami says, Anugraha Bhaktanam Manusam Deham Astita Bhajate Tadrisi Krida Yashutva Tatparo Bhavet. That the Lord assumes human body to show mercy to his devotees. He engages in pastimes so that people can get attracted to them, and thus they will become dedicated to him. So that's why Krishna Prabhupada is using these two words here. One is transcendental bliss, and the other is celestial bliss. That people who are looking at him, they are also enjoying bliss which is beyond this material world, beyond this earthly planetary system, earthly system here, right? Bhuloka. It's beyond that. It's beyond that. They feel very, very happy. Like in this material world, in this world, earthly planet, neither are we very happy, neither are we very miserable. We are somewhere in middle. And Krishna has rubber stamped it as Dukhalyana Shashvatam. So, but then in heavenly planets, there is more happiness for sure. That is why people generally forget Krishna there, because there is a lot of happiness there.
Prabhuji, the verse Prabhuji we said just now from Srimad Bhagavatam?
It comes in 10th canto, 33rd chapter. It's towards the end, if I remember correctly, 36th or 37th verse might be.
Okay.
Anugraha Bhaktanam Manushim Deham Astita. That Anugraha, to show as a favor to my Bhaktanams, I come. So that when they see me, like for example, we all are practicing devotees. Right? But do I have full faith in Krishna? No, I don't have full faith in Krishna. Otherwise, I would be very happy. No, I don't have faith in Krishna, full faith. So when Krishna comes in his personal form and shows his pastimes, then everybody will become happy and have full faith in Krishna. Thus, he will attract more souls back home, back to Godhead. That's what Prabhupada is explaining here, that he's always transcendental. But he comes to this material platform so that he can take devotees back home, back to Godhead. But impersonalists think that Krishna coming to this material world is also becomes a servant to these three modes of material nature. That is why Prabhupada is highlighting that Krishna has always transcendental bliss. In this planet, when he came in Vrindavan, that time also he was transcendental. He was not a part of this material world. And when he came here, people who were here, who were practicing devotion, they got to see it and they enjoyed that bliss, which was not of this earthly planet, which was beyond that. And that strengthened their faith in Krishna. And then thus, Krishna can take them back home, back to Godhead. So Prabhupada really presents it very nicely, that how Krishna comes for us. And that's what the speaker in this verse is saying, Isopanishad, that please show me your face so that I can enjoy that bliss and come out of this misery I'm a part of in this world. Yeah. So that's one thing that Prabhupada is bringing out. And then Prabhupada, yes, he quotes this verse. We read this. This is a very good verse. And then Krishna says, see, the system of God realization is a great science. So God realization is a great science. And then Prabhupada talks about Sankhya Yoga. Okay, so another question for everyone. Where does Prabhupada talks about that this is science in Bhagavad Gita? Prabhupada says this in one of the purports. That is theistic science.
Chapter 1.
Chapter 1, yes. Which verse? First verse. That's the first verse. That's the first verse and the first sentence, if I'm not wrong. Let me see. It's the first verse, I know. I think it's the first sentence also where Prabhupada uses it. Yep, he uses it. Let me share my screen.
Dharmkshetre, Kurukshetre?
Yes, Mataji, that's where Prabhupada. So this is the first verse of the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Prabhupada's right say Bhagavad Gita is the widely read theistic science. Right? So it's beautiful how Prabhupada is presenting it and saying it's a science. It's not a philosophy, it's a science. Right? God realization is a science. And it's a science because it's just not about feeling good. It's a state of consciousness that you can live in 24/7. At the core, we are souls, and our job is to realize our true identity and to perceive the higher dimension. Just like in science, right? We talked about this. Science, you have theory, you have a hypothesis, you have an experiment, and then experiment proves your theory. Similarly, in spirituality, we have philosophy. Right? Philosophy is the theory. Religion is the experiment. Religion is what Prabhupada has given us. Okay, you go chanting, you do your services, you behave in a specific way in a devotee community. That's religion that Prabhupada has given us. So by a philosophy, these books that we are reading, the theory that we are reading, that's the theory, right? So that, like for example, we are not this body, that Krishna is telling you. So religion, the experiment is the religion which gives us the process by which we can realize the theory. Right? And some religions are very narrow-minded and proclaim that only my way is the only way. No, no. We Gaudiya Vaishnavas don't have a monopoly over God. We have talked about it in the past. Bhagavad Gita never claims monopoly over God. Religions are meant for God. God is not meant for religion. There are many ways to climb a mountain. Bottom of the mountain is material life and top is spiritual life, and we all can go from different ways. So similarly, Bhagavad Gita doesn't claim monopoly over God. But the good thing is that clarity about the knowledge of soul, about the self, clarity of revelation who God is, systematic stage by stage nature of how we can become attracted to God is distinctive to Bhagavad Gita. That is not present in other religions. That's the beauty of Bhagavad Gita. But that doesn't mean that Bhagavad Gita is the only way by which we can go back home, back to God. Okay? So that's one thing I just wanted to highlight here, that not to become start thinking that only Bhagavad Gita is there, and it's a science, and anybody can practice that science. If we see that the religion's overarching purpose is elevating human consciousness, then we will be able to appreciate the cultural expression. Different cultures have different way of expressing it, and also the universal spiritual essence. Right? And when we have this educated vision as Prabhupada has given us, we can respect the spiritual potential of religious practices that are different from ours. However, we still have to keep in mind the practicality, as I just mentioned, that the depth that is being provided in Bhagavad Gita is not provided in other books that are coming. Even though they are also books of realization, they are books of spiritual knowledge. Right? For example, Quran. Right? Quran was compiled by Muhammad, Prophet Muhammad. And sorry, no, not by Prophet. His followers compiled the Quran, right? After several years of Prophet Muhammad leaving the earth, many of his followers compiled the Quran. But then Quran is just a unidirectional revelation. There are no question answer like we have in Bhagavad Gita. Whereas the Eastern philosophy, Vedas and all these, they contain a lot of philosophy. Which is not found in Abrahamic religions like Islam and Christianity. Right? They have revelations, but they're just a collection of thoughts. So, but we don't minimize the other religions. God is not our monopoly, as I said. All scriptures talk of love of God, but only Bhagavad Gita explains that tangibly, how to attain that love. That's a difference that Bhagavad Gita presents. So that's why it's a science, Prabhupada is telling us. Anything that gives you the revelation that can answer the theory and the hypothesis that you are creating to the best possible extent is something that you should follow. So let's see what Prabhupada is saying next. So yes, and then Prabhupada goes on to talk of Sankhya Yoga. Sankhya Yoga is, and Prabhupada is telling us that Sankhya Yoga yogis can only analyze and meditate on the 24 factors of the material creation. If Sankhya Yoga is not wrong, if you follow it with bhakti, if the only meditation is on 24 elements, then it doesn't take us far. The only distance we can reach is detachment. We'll just look at the deeper aspect of material nature, and that becomes Sankhya. But Sankhya can be theistic also, and atheistic also. So from Sankhya, once you have this understanding and detachment, or this material world is not what it looks like. A cake looks very beautiful, or even a person, human being, right? We get attracted to another human being. A boy gets attracted to a girl to a boy. But then if you could just see what is this body made up of, it's just made up of very gross, gross material. It's just very yucky material, very distasteful material, made of, our stomach is full of acid, and our veins have blood in them, which contains salt, potassium, magnesium, whatnot, and red blood cells and whatnot. And my eye, there's a lot of poems written about eyes, beauty of the eyes. But these eyes are nothing but they're just balls. They're filled with gel. And so if you could break it down, you can get detached from this body. But then if there's no bhakti after that, then it's just useless. Then it becomes atheistic. So after once somebody becomes Sankhya, practices Sankhya Yoga, then the next level is Jnana Yoga. And there's intellectual analysis and contemplation. Right? So Sankhya Yoga is looking at material aspect, Jnana is going beyond material to spirit. Right? And then beyond that, we can come to bhakti eventually. So that's something Prabhupada is highlighting here, that Sankhya yogis, they're looking at material creation. Impersonalists are looking at Brahma Jyoti. And then beyond that is the devotees who are requesting the Lord to remove their covering. So that's something Prabhupada is highlighting. And then Prabhupada brings out the Paramatma feature. So again and again, the whole purpose of Prabhupada is, the whole presentation that Prabhupada has in this purport is to explain to us that the Brahman and the Paramatma features are incomplete from our perception. They were complete as Krishna himself. And Prabhupada is coming at it from different angles. And now Prabhupada is talking about, he's giving more details about the Paramatma feature. Where does the Paramatma feature come from? And Prabhupada is talking about Purusha Avtaras here. We talked about Purusha Avtaras in, there was a word, which was that? In the 4th chapter, right? Was it in the 4th chapter? Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, so we talked about different Avtaras, not just the Purusha Avtaras. Prabhupada had talked about many of them. And in the, I think it was 4th chapter, there was a verse in which Prabhupada had talked about different Avtaras. There was Purusha Avtaras, Guna Avtaras, and I think it was 4th chapter. Yes, I can share this. I'm sharing this. That's good. So 4th chapter, was it? Let's see. Yes, here. Yes, 4.8. You can read the purport of 4.8 to get into more detail. So there was Purusha Avtaras, those are 3 Vishnus. There was Guna Avtaras, which control the 3 gunas. There are Leela Avtaras, where Lord comes for a specific pastime. Satyavish Avtar, Prabhupada was a Satyavish Avtar. There are Avtaras that come in each Manvantra. So Manvantra is, I had that right earlier. Each Manvantra is 71 Divya Yugas. So 71 into 4 of these yugas that we are. So that's one Manvantra. So for each Manvantra, there is an incarnation. So that's the Manvantra Avatar. There's a Yuga Avatar that comes to establish religion of the Yuga. For this Yuga, for Kali Yuga, Yuga Avatar is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he came to establish chanting as the religion. Yeah, so he came. Yes. I'm trying to remember a verse. I can't remember it. So yes, so different avatars. So Prabhupada again, so hitting it from a different perspective, telling us that the Paramatma feature that you're looking at, if you start thinking that the Paramatma is the ultimate, no, that's not the way. The Paramatma aspect is coming from one of the three Vishnus, right? So and I think Prabhupada talks about it in that in Isopanishad. So let's go see if he's talking about it. Yes, he's talking about it here. So he's talking about Kshirodakshay Vishnu. He's the Vishnu among the three principal deities, and he's the all-pervading Paramatma in each and every individual living entity. So who's the Paramatma feature? The Paramatma feature is the Kshirodakshay Vishnu. And beyond Kshirodakshay is the Garbhodakshay Vishnu. And beyond Garbhodakshay is the Karanodakshay Vishnu, who lies in the causal ocean. He is the creator of all universes. So one, Karanodakshay Vishnu creates all the universes. Then he eventually goes and sits as the Garbhodakshay Vishnu, from whose navel the lotus comes. Brahma sits on it. And then also Garbhodakshay Vishnu expands as Kshirodakshay Vishnu into every single living entity's heart as the Paramatma feature. And so Prabhupada is stressing on this fact that don't fall trap to the fact that the Brahman or the Paramatma feature is the complete feature. No. And then Prabhupada is quoting Brahma Samhita to talk about the Brahma Jyoti aspect. Right? He's saying Tad Brahma Nishkalam Anantam Ashesha Bhutam. That is, Brahma Jyoti is the personal rays of the Supreme Personality of Govinda, whom I worship. So, yeah. So Prabhupada is talking about all these Leela avatars and avatars. So, sometimes what happens is that if we don't have purification and the right understanding, especially by reading Prabhupada's books, we can become, Prabhupada called them Prakarta Sahajiyas. So Sahaj means, in Sanskrit, the word Sahaj means easy. So we start thinking that Bhakti is very easy and I have Bhava. Okay? So that kind of a thing can creep into our mind if we don't read Prabhupada's books and understand the philosophy threadbare. So especially people on the Kanishta platform, they can, there's this term that's been in ISKCON, the pure devotee syndrome. Whenever a new devotee comes in, pretty soon they start thinking that we are pure devotees. Everybody goes. At least I went through that, so I know it. There's a pure devotee syndrome. We start, oh no, I know everything. I'm good to go. Don't try to teach me anything. I'm perfect. So that happens. So if we don't have this proper understanding, that is the reason Prabhupada's purports are so valuable. If we don't understand it threadbare, what Prabhupada is trying to teach us or what the philosophy is, it's very easy for us to fall trap to any of these material attractions, being a sahajiya, expressing bhava, or just being a show bottle devotee. Right? So we don't want to fall trap for that. Yes, that's what Prabhupada is highlighting to us here and talking about. Okay, so then there is some mention here. Let's see what else. Okay, so Prabhupada is saying perfect knowledge means knowing Krishna as the root of this Brahman effulgence. Perfect knowledge. Beautiful word phrase Prabhupada is using. Perfect knowledge. That Krishna is the source of everything. Where is knowledge being talked about in Bhagavad Gita? There's a verse where Krishna says that, what was that? Phenomenal and numinous knowledge, and there is nothing beyond this for you to know. Which verse is that? Where Krishna talks of knowledge and both phenomenal and numinous knowledge. Those are the actual words that Prabhupada uses in the translation. Phenomenal and numinous knowledge. Anybody? Give it a try. Give it a try. Don't think I'm trying to torture you. I'm just trying to to express how important it is for us to know where what is in Bhagavad Gita. It strengthens, at least it strengthens my bhakti. I'm not doing it to show off or to, but then I know it strengthens my bhakti unlimitedly. It just makes it so much better because I'm putting the basis of my bhakti, my whatever I'm speaking on Shastra. That makes me a more credible and confident source of knowledge. Whatever I'm giving is coming from coming from a credible source. So I'm not trying to torture you all, believe me. Anybody has a thought? Something? Which verse could it be? Okay. It comes in the 7th chapter. I give you a hint. No? Okay. Comes in the 7th beginning itself.
7.4, yeah.
7.4. Which verse is that?
Bhumir Apo goes something like that.
Bhumirapo nalo vayu mano buddhi revacha. That's not the one I had in mind. I was thinking something about knowledge, about where Krishna says that there's nothing to be known beyond that. That's the 2nd verse of the 7th chapter. You're close, Prabhu. Jnanam te hamsa vijnanam idam vakshami ashesataha yaj gyatva diya bhuyo nyas gyatavyam avashishyate. That there's nothing for you to know once you know Jnanam and Vijnanam, this phenomenal numinous, everything is given in what I'm teaching you. That is why Prabhupada is calling it perfect knowledge. When we know Krishna, right? So right now, we don't know Krishna. We know about Krishna. Yeah, Krishna came to Vrindavan, had his pastimes, he had his girlfriends, he had his parents, he did this. I know about Krishna, but I don't know Krishna. So, like, I know about Narendra Modi, but I don't know Narendra Modi, which is different. So perfect knowledge means knowing Krishna. When we know Krishna, that's why Krishna says in that 4th chapter, 9th, Janam Karamachami Divyam Evam Yoveti Tatvataha. That one who knows my birth and transcendental birth and death, Divyam. So knowing Krishna is different than knowing about Krishna. So our goal is to go from knowing about Krishna to knowing Krishna. And Prabhupada is telling us this knowledge comes from scriptures like Srimad Bhagavatam, which elaborate upon the science of Krishna. So we keep reading. And then Prabhupada is telling us establish the 3 platforms also. Right? Vadanti tat tattva vidas tattvam yaj jnanam avyayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaniti shabda. So these 3 platforms are also talked about in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st canto, 2nd chapter. So it's the perfect knowledge.
Can you elaborate what you mean? Can you please elaborate what you mean by knowing about Krishna and knowing Krishna? Throughout Bhagavad Gita, are we not talking about like when we meditate on all the time we should meditate on the form, pastime, paraphernalia, quality of Krishna, right?
Mhm.
So it's knowing about only, right? What do we mean by knowing Krishna then?
When I said knowing and knowing about, the difference is, like I gave an example, right? You know about Narendra Modi, but do you know him? Do you know him? Would you say that? But I wouldn't say that. So similarly, when we love somebody, a loved one. So knowing, or to give you an example, knowing about somebody means you know their likes and dislikes. Let's say, okay, yeah, I know, or I know that this guy does this, and he works here. I know his LinkedIn profile. He does this. So that's knowing about. But knowing is a very heartfelt relationship. When you have a close friend, if you remember that when you were in college or school, some very close friends, and they knew exactly what you had in mind. Oh yeah, let's go drink tea, and let's go have. So that's knowing. So the difference is more of the intimacy between. So knowing about Krishna is less intimate than knowing Krishna. That's why the verse that Prabhupada is quoting here earlier, where was that verse? This one, Itam Satam Brahma Sukhanubhutya. So some people know Krishna as Brahman. Some people see him as impersonal. Some people even see him as, in a mood of servitorship, dasya. But then, the highest platform is the people, the cowherd boys who are playing with him. So even though devotees are there in a mood of servitorship, but that's not appreciated. Mahaprabhu even excluded the Dasya rasa. He said only there are four rasas: Vatsalya, Sakhya, Dasya. No. What was that? No. He removed Dasya was there. Yes, sorry. He removed the which one did he remove? Vatsalya, Dasya, Sakhya,
Santiras.
Shantaras. Yes. So he removed that one. So even the people who are serving Krishna in servitorship are a little lower than the people who are actually playing. So the cowherd boys are the ones who know Krishna, and Krishna knows them. Krishna is ready to do anything in for them, and they're ready to do anything for him. Like, Prabhupada would say this for Malti Mataji. Malti Mataji was once cooking for him, and many of his god brothers had come. So she brought prasadam for everybody, and Prabhupada said that, she can kill anybody for me, and I can kill anybody for her. So that's knowing, that's the loving relationship, that's the intimacy that's missing in when we know about somebody. Was that helpful, Madhi? Did it make
Yes,
sense?
Prabhuji. No, thank you. Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah. It's not a black and white. It's a gradation. That's something, yes, between knowing about and knowing Krishna. We all want to come to the platform of knowing Krishna so that we can love him with our whole heart. I cannot do that because in my heart, I don't have this faith that Krishna exists. Is he taking care of me? I don't know. My my job is so hard. My boss is bullying me around. I don't know. Is Krishna around? He's looking at me or not? So I know about him. I know about I'm a soul. But do I really believe in that? That's the difference between knowing about and knowing Krishna. Yes. So this is an important verse where we are being told that the speaker wants the Lord to remove his effulgence, and by effulgence is the impersonal, the Brahma Jyoti. And then Prabhupada ends by bringing the verses from Bhagavad Gita 646 and 647, where the three types of transcendentalists have been talked about in 46 and 47. Okay. So the next verse is also similar. We'll go through that also, but I wanted to see if anybody had any comments or questions on this verse in the purport. The next one is similar, so we can finish that off also. There is not much of a difference in there. All well in this verse? Okay, let's look at the next one. Pushan ek rishi yama surya prajapatya vyuhurasmin samuha tejo yatte rupam kalyanatamam tatte pashyami swasavasau purushas soham asmi. Okay. O my Lord, O primeval philosopher, maintainer of the universe, O regulating principle, destination of the pure devotees, well-wishers of the progenitors of mankind, please remove the effulgence of your transcendental rays so that I can see your form of bliss. You are the eternal supreme personality of Godhead, like unto the sun as I am. So here, similar request, transcendental rays. There is a mode of prayer, prayerful mode also here. The speaker is glorifying the Lord by different prayers. So again, the core theme of the verse is the request for personal realization. Going back to this last verse we just read, that the devotee acknowledges that the Brahm Jyoti is a glorious manifestation of the Lord's energy, no doubt, but still a partial realization. So the devotee's heart is always looking for a personal darshan of Krishna, which is most auspicious and blissful. Because only a devotee can know Krishna. Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavan yasyasmi tatvataha. That only a devotee can understand me. Bhaktya, Krishna says that. And this verse is also glorifying the nature of the Supreme Lord. He's a Pushan, he's a maintainer. He's Ekarishi, the original philosopher. He's Prajapatya, he's a well-wisher. Right? So these attributes, the reason now the speaker has elaborated upon this concept of seeing the Lord, removing his effulgence, is because he wants to stress on the fact that Lord is a person. Right? He's a person. and he's actually involved in the welfare of all. So that's what makes the relationship so dynamic, because it's full of rasa, it's full of a mellow, transcendental mellow. And this effulgence is a barrier to that full realization. And I think Prabhupada quotes this, this verse he's quoting from the Bhagavata, the Brahma Samhita, Chintamani Prakarsadhamashu Kalpa Vriksha. So where he's saying that, so this verse is demonstrating Golok Vrindavan. It's portraying Golok Vrindavan, which is the spiritual abode where Krishna is engaging in his pastimes, right? And why Prabhupada is elaborating and bringing such verses in here to inspire us devotees, practicing devotees, towards that personal devotion. That's why he's brought out this verse from Brahma Samhita. And right, so connecting with Brahma Jyotis, like, sometimes when you are at home, even though you are connected to Wi-Fi, but there is no internet, right? Sometimes we get that. Similarly, connecting with the Brahma Jyotis like that. We are connected to the Wi-Fi, but there is no data. It's dazzling, but there is no content to it. Right? Seeing Krishna's form, that's the full data package. There's love, there is bliss, there is service, there is fun, 24/7 fun. So this verse underscores the importance of progressing from that impersonal to the personal realization. And that's the ultimate goal of a devotee. And that relationship is created through Shravana Kirtan. And Shravana and Kirtan, hearing, chanting. If we don't make chanting our main thrust in life, we have no right to come back to Krishna and say, Krishna, I'm suffering. Krishna will say, I've given you a method, and if you're not following it, I can't do anything. So if you have the medicine, but you don't take it and you keep coming back to the doctor and saying, oh, I'm not getting okay, I'm not feeling better. The doctor says, what can I do? You're not taking the medicine I gave you. So we have to make chanting the main thrust in our life. So the important part that Prabhupada is talking about across this purport is he's talking about the Brahman, the impersonal concept again, right? And but one thing that Prabhupada is highlighting in this purport was, where was this? Oh, it's not here. Where was that? This aspect, okay, yes. Probably this is what. There is a gulf of difference between the living entity, Atma, and the controlling Lord Paramatma, the soul and the super soul. The reason Prabhupada is starting to talk about this separation between the Lord and between the Jiva is because this verse is a bit confusing in itself. Because it says, you are the eternal supreme personality of Godhead, as I am. Soham asmi. That's the phrase being used here. Soham asmi. That now somebody or impersonalists, what they do is they use this phrase to say that, oh no, see, you talk about Krishna having a form, but there's no form. There is a merge happening. So aham, that I am as you. Right? But this is very contradictory, because in this very same verse, there is talk of rupam. Rupam kalyantamam. That your rupam is kalyantamam. So there is a rupa being talked about also, that you have a form, a roop. And at the same time, you're saying that, oh yes, so aham asmi. That you're like me. So what is the context of Soham is that it's reflecting the essential non-difference in quality between the individual soul and the Supreme Lord. Right? Just as the Prabhupada has given this example so many times, that rays of the sun are qualitatively the same as the sun. Similarly, I, as the Jiva, share the same spiritual nature as the Lord. I am also Satchidanand. Right? But my Satchidanand is qualitatively same as Krishna's Satchidanand, not quantitatively. Quantitatively, I am very, very low. And this similarity is given in the 15th chapter, Mamaivamsho Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. They're my eternal fragment parts and parcels. So the So Aham Asmi underscores the Jiva's spiritual identity as qualitatively one with the Supreme. But what's the difference? The difference is in the quality and position. And that's why Prabhupada is using this phrase here, gulf of a difference. What was that? Gulf of difference. So what Prabhupada is saying is there's a gulf of difference. And what is the gulf of the difference? Did he see? So the gulf of the difference is in the quantity and the position. The Lord is infinite. He's the source of everything and the ultimate controller. Whereas me as Jiva is infinitesimal. I'm not the source of everything. I'm dependent on Krishna. I'm not the ultimate controller. I'm controlled by Krishna. And that distinction is being highlighted by Prabhupada here. So the word Soham Asmi does not imply that the Jiva becomes equal to the Lord in position or power. Right? So Soham Asmi signifies the realization of the Jiva's eternal relationship with the Lord. It's not a claim of identity in totality. It's just an acknowledgement of the intimate connection. And that's where the concept of Achinta Bhed, Bhed Tattva comes in. It's a philosophy that Mahaprabhu gave us. Simultaneous oneness and difference between the Jiva and the Supreme Lord. This verse does not support impersonalist idea that the Jiva merge with the Lord to become an indistinguishable entity. No, that does not happen. So the word Soham Asmi signifies the qualitative oneness between the living entity and the Lord while maintaining their difference in quantity and role. So the impersonalists always take the last part of this verse, Soham Asmi. We cannot take any part. It's not that Ardh Kukur Niyaya, right? Prabhupada used to say the Ardh Kukur Niyaya, that I will take the part of the hen that gives the golden egg, but I will remove the part that requires me to feed the hen. So that doesn't work in spiritual life. You have to take it in totality. Right? So, but then again, the beauty of the Shastra, of what Mahaprabhu has given us, what Prabhupada has given us, is that Achinta Bhed Bhed Tattva. We are not rejecting the impersonalist aspect also. And Krishna also doesn't do that. Which verse does Krishna say that impersonalists also come to me? It's in the 12th chapter. I've given up. 12.5, Krishna says, Klesho adhiktaras tesham, avyakta sakta chetasham, avyakta hi gatir dukkham, deha vadbhir avapate. So he's saying that Klesho adhiktaras tesham, that people who are embodied, for them it's Klesha, avyakta sakta cheta. Avyakta means unmanifest, the impersonalist. Because it's dukkham, avyakta hi gatir dukkham. The path is very miserable for people who have this body. But bhakti is easy. Ananya cheta satatam yomam smarati nityasa tasyaham sulabh partha. Sulabh means easy. Sulabh partha. That ananya cheta, who remember me. Smarati, remember me. For them, it's very easy. Makes it easy. So, the beauty of what Mahaprabhu has given us, this Gaudiya Vaishnava, is that we don't reject impersonalism. We understand that impersonalism is also okay, but what we want as devotees is the personal aspect of Krishna. And that's what Bhagavad Gita is teaching us. That's what Srimad Bhagavatam is teaching us. But if all these shastras are like Mohini Murti, if I become a demon and I get lusty for Mohini Murti, fine, that will look like I will see it as a beautiful lady. But if I become in a mode of goodness like a demigod, I will see that, oh, it's Vishnu himself who has come to help me out. So all the Shastras are like Mohini Murti. Right. I think that was the main concept that Prabhupada highlights in this verse. This second one, yes. The speculative philosophers and yogis cannot imagine this because they more or less depend on their own strength, as stated in Katha Upanishad 1, 2, 23. Yes, so Prabhupada is quoting Katha Upanishad. Prabhupada quotes from all over, right? Nayatmana pravachinena labhyo na medhyana shrutena, bahuna shrutena. So yes, so Lord, only by Lord's mercy can a devotee see him. That is why here the devotee is not forcing Lord, oh, you have to show me your form. No, he's just begging like a beggar, please let me see your face. So if Krishna wishes, he will show his face to that devotee. But speculative philosophers, yogi, no, that they cannot do it. You cannot just raise your hand and pluck the fruit. It has to come as a mercy. It's going to come downhill. I cannot go uphill and pluck it. And Prabhupada is saying such special favors are bestowed upon his pure devotees only. So, to our goal is, we have talked about knowing Krishna and coming to that level of dainya, humility, pridelessness, dainya. And so dainya is a very good word. It's a complex verse, which means humility and considering yourself to be useless, of insignificance. That, that's humility and compassion. That's the level of dainya. And that pure devotee gets the mercy of the Lord. And that pure devotee becomes so compassionate that he's just ready to give his or her own life for the welfare of others. The other day, His Holiness Romapad Swami Maharaj was here. He gave a class on Sunday a couple of weeks ago. And when he was about to wrap up, he was trying to play a video on his computer. But I think when in the class, he was not able to play it. And later on, he was just checking, does it play actually? And he was playing it. And I was luckily standing there, I was so happy I was standing there. And he was telling me, oh, yeah, it plays now. And I asked him, Maharaj, what is it that you're playing? It was a small clip where Prabhupada was crying. And what was Prabhupada saying? Please chant and go back home, back to Godhead. He was crying. He was crying in front of his divine disciples. A 70-year-old man crying in front of 20, 15-year-old kids, 20, 25-year-old kids. Why? Because he's so compassionate. He's a pure devotee. And that mercy comes to a pure devotee only when the pure devotee surrenders completely to Krishna. You cannot force that mercy out of Krishna. Yes. Okay, that was the 17th verse. Oh yeah, we finished it quickly. That was good. Yeah, so the important part in this verse to remember is the Soham Asmi part. That's something we have to be fully aware of, fully understood. Because as I said, impersonalists take this part as Soham Asmi and they try to expand upon it and say, oh yeah, see, God is impersonal. We have to go and merge in him. So we should be
Hare
ready.
Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
I have a question regarding the Soham thing.
Mhm.
That is one phrase that has been misunderstood many, many times. Soham, which means that I am that spiritual spark, right? And also Aham Brahma Jyoti.
Aham
These are the
Brahmasmi.
simultaneous two phrases which have been often misquoted. And it is also that it not only created a lot of confusion, but division as well. Like we have the Mayavadi philosophy coming out, emanating from that misunderstanding. So how would we exactly know from our scriptures, other than the explanation of Prabhupada, that it exactly means the way it is being described. Because sometimes, when we have to explain it to other people, they really don't take it that it is being explained here in this way, and this is the only correct way. So we have to give references from other places and shastras.
Yes, you should do that. Yes.
To verify. So where can we find that?
So the first thing that, as I was saying, we don't reject impersonalist philosophy. Krishna also does not reject it. I quoted 12.5, where Krishna is saying that what was that verse? Dehavadbhiravapyate, that kleshvadiktarastesham avyakta sakta chetasham avyakta hi gatir dukkham dehavadbhiravapyate. What I'm saying is, when saying that, okay, we don't merge with Krishna, where is that? Or impersonalists say that we merge with Krishna. So how can you contradict that? Not necessarily contradict, but give an answer. First, that you have to understand and substantiate that Krishna has a form. And you have to look for verses where Krishna is saying that, or where it's been clearly told to us that Krishna has a form. Like, for example, the last verse we read, Hiranmayana patrena satya sthapika mukham. So the word mukham is there. Mukham means face. Are you telling me that God is impersonalist? Is God is without a form and still he has a mukham? No. Here it's said rupam. There's a form being talked about. However, we don't reject the impersonalist feature. We accept it. However, we want to have a relationship with Krishna in the personal aspect because there is a relationship there. In impersonalism, there is only servitude. There is no relationship. That is why in this, see, this is the 12th chapter, beginning of 12th chapter. Arjun asked this question, which one to love? This is a very clear-cut question Arjun asked, right? That which one should I practice? Bhaktas, that is devotees, or the avyakta? Which one is the right form to worship? And Krishna gives him a very clear-cut answer. Those who fix their minds on my personal form are always engaged in worshipping me, are considered by me to be most perfect. Right? Maya Vishya Manoye Mam Nitya Yuktapas Shraddhaya Pariyopetas. Shraddha, they have devotion towards me. They have a relationship with me. Then Krishna goes on to say that there are other people also who look at me as the unmanifested and all that, blah, blah, blah. And he says, 5th verse, people who are attached to the impersonal, advancement is very troublesome. To make progress in their discipline is always difficult for those who are embodied. As you rightly yourself answered your question, you have to have verses where Krishna is very clearly telling you, I love having a relationship in my personal feature. At the same time, Krishna doesn't say that impersonalism is completely useless. He accepts impersonalism also. But he tells us that for people who have a body, impersonalism is practically impossible. It's very, very difficult. And Krishna himself talks of the impersonal aspect in the 9th chapter, right? Avyakta Sarva Krishna ways that. He says 7, 8. No. Yes, here in 4th, right? Maya tatam idam sarvam jagat avyakta murtina. By me, in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. So Krishna is taking care of this world in his impersonal aspect, which is the Paramatma aspect. He is everywhere as a Paramatma. But that is not his most supreme form, or that is not the form he wishes to have a relationship with us in. That is the personal feature. So if somebody comes and questions you that, oh, no, you are wrong in interpretation, you can tell them, I'm not rejecting your philosophy of impersonalism. What I'm saying is that I want to love Krishna as a devotee. I'm okay. You want to love Krishna or you want to connect with the Lord as an impersonalist? Go ahead and do it. My favorite part is when I see Krishna in his Sham Sundar. That is where I want to be. That's the most perfect because there is a relationship there. In impersonalism, how will you have a relationship with a cloud? Something amorphous up in the sky. You cannot have a relationship with that. Everything needs a form in this world to have a relationship. Or even the sections of the society which claim that Lord is impersonalist. they practice Islam. Everybody goes to Makkah. Why? They circle around that black stone. Right? Why? It's a form. Why do you, if Lord is impersonal, why do you have to go to Mecca? Christians wear a cross. What is the cross? Cross is the form on which Jesus Christ was crucified. It's the form you're looking at. That's what gives you a relationship. Otherwise, there is no relationship aspect. So that's the way I would explain it. See, but I'm not sure if I answered your question. Probably it might not be directly.
I mean, actually, what I meant was that Aham Brahmasmi, when it is explained by Mayavadis, they say that, yes, I am that spark. Spark, that means I am the God in myself. And the other one, Soham, also is indicative of that I am kind of God. So this is how they interpret it. And that confusion I mean, creates a lot of problem when you have to explain it to the general people that no, this is not is what is meant by this phrase. It is what we discuss right now is meant. So, to give the I mean, we can give that he is a personal, impersonal, and personal is not very difficult to explain. But then when this phrase is said in this light, that yes, I am the God myself, I am Soham, and I am Brahmasmi, and that has been interpreted in very so many places. Brahmasmi means that I am the God. So basically, it is that I am that. The real meaning behind is that I am that spirit, which is qualitatively, as you explained, same, but not quantitatively one with the God. So this is how it is being interpreted, but and it should be interpreted, and we know from Prabhupada's explanation, but some of the people who are not well versed with Prabhupada, they reject that, or they kind of don't understand. They say that we want to know more about where else in the other scriptures it's written that. So that's why I wanted to know that where we can find those examples.
So I gave you some examples right away where I from what gives me strength as to Krishna himself telling that impersonalism is hard, whereas the personal aspect where we have a relationship is the one that he prefers, considers as perfect. At the end of the day, Mataji, believers, they don't need any argument. And people who are non-believers, they will accept no argument from you. So if you're trying to convince a non-believer, just save your time, don't try to do it. Right? Arguments about existence, about God, will be convincing for some. And for some, it will not be convincing. It might be actually, that might push them away from the path, actually. So arguments will have utility for some, and for some, it won't have utility. So my suggestion is you have to judge the person who is asking you the question, whether he or she is asking you just to criticize you or to tell you that you are wrong, or are they really genuinely interested in understanding it from you?
Yeah, generally interested, but they don't have the 100% trust in because some of them, they still consider Prabhupada as a guru of only the, Western world, not the, Eastern world. So
if you're talking, I don't know if you're referring to devotees actually who say this to you. I'm not sure.
No, not devotees who are interested in knowing, not devotees.
Yeah, see, Mati,
interested in knowing.
About you, I don't know about you, Mati, I never had that doubt. And believe me, my family is every demigod worshipper like any other, like majority of the Indian families. That also boils down to the person who he's trying to accept it, because it depends where they are in their progression. If they are not ready to realize it now, you can just leave them, and you don't have to force this explanation on them if they are not ready for it. right? And yes, I quoted some verses. There are so many other verses. Krishna telling Mata Paratram Nanet, there's nothing beyond me. There are verses in Shastra, in Bhagavatam, in Katha Upanishad. Everywhere there are a lot of verses. If somebody is not ready to believe, he won't believe it with any verse you tell them. Right? People can come and question you, why should I even believe the Bhagavad? Why should I believe the Bhagavad Gita? Then how are you going to convince them? So, I mean, I don't know what kind of people you're referring to, but I generally don't try to argue with such people. So
No arguments, because they didn't argue, but they said that, I mean, is there any other source where we can just verify that this is what is spoken here is the truth? So
other
that is
source
what
means like,
was
what do you mean?
their
Other books you mean?
concern. Yeah, other scripture and places, if we can look for the same thing, which clearly states that.
So you have the Brahma Samhita, you have a Samhita as a scripture, you have an Isopanishad, an Upanishad as a scripture, you have a Purana, Srimad Bhagavatam as a scripture, you have a Shruti Bhagavad Gita as a scripture, you have the whole Mahabharata, which is an Itihas, where Bhishma himself is saying that, Krishna is Bhagavan. What else proof do you want? Which Shastra are you referring to? You ask them. Just ask them, which Shastra are you looking for? I'm giving you proof from Purana, I'm giving you proof from Itihasa, I'm giving you proof from Upanishads, I'm giving you proof from Samhitas. What is it?
They don't doubt that Krishna is Bhagavan. They don't doubt that.
Then what is the doubt?
The doubt is that they say that, yes, since we are the emanation from him, that means we are same as him. We are not like tiny spark like them.
So Krishna says that in the 15th chapter, 7th verse. Mamai vamsho jiva loke jivbhuta sanatana. You are sanatana. You are from time immemorial my part and parcel.
Which verse is that one?
15.7, Mataji.
Which one?
15.7.
Okay. Now I got it, because that verse I can refer to.
But as I was saying, Mataji, if somebody doesn't want to be convinced, you can give him every scripture, they won't be convinced. So like this is here, right? 15.7. Mamai vamsho jiva loke jivbhuta sanatana. The living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts.
Okay. There it is. Yeah.
So
that is what I had to, because I could not, at that time, I kind of became blank, and I was not able to bring this in front of them.
Whenever you get blank, Mataji, pray to Krishna. And whenever somebody comes, because I always do this, Mataji. Whenever I give a class, I pray to Krishna. If somebody asks me a question that I don't have an answer, please help me. I always ask him. Not like I'm asking for that. I ask him for every question. I just ask him, please help me. And so, and he always helps me. He always gives me an answer. So always pray to Krishna. See, it all boils down to dependence on Krishna. The more dependent you will be on Krishna, Prabhupada thought, I will create my own business. I'll earn money for Krishna and I'll do it that way. Krishna said, no. Still you are trying to do it by yourself, Prabhupada. He takes away everything from Prabhupada. And then later on, he gives Prabhupada billions of dollars. He said, you wanted to earn money? Here it is. Now, because you have surrendered to me.
Yeah.
So that dependence is will be the root of your success in bhakti. Either when you're explaining it to others or while you are doing it within closed doors, just to yourself. Your bhakti success will boil down to dependence on Krishna. How much are we depending on Krishna? And not on ourselves.
Okay. Thank you very much. Now, this is what I wanted to know. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. I'm happy I was able to give you some answers. Help me also. Thank you. Okay. So yes, so we did 2 verses today. And there are 2 more verses left, which are more of prayers for the Lord to, during the material struggle that's happening. One is about that, hey, when I leave my body, please remember what I've done. And the last one is also something similar. Those are the last 2 verses. We'll do it in the next class. We'll wrap it up. Then we'll start Nectar of Devotion. And yep, that's it. Any last minute things on anybody's mind?
So after completion of the 18, we are going to have an exam, Prabhu?
I've been giving you some open book exams, right?
Yeah.
Let me go back and check. I don't know what the
we had two open book exams, Prabhu.
Yeah, Because see, in Bhagavad Gita, a closed book exam made a lot more sense because there is more things to remember here. This is more of application. This book, Isopanishad, is something that we have to apply, right? Like I asked the question about Ishavasya principle. So this is more of an application book. That's why I've been giving open book exams. Let me go and think about it, Mati.
Yeah,
to
so
check.
if it is an open book exam and we have to have it, then please send us the questions so that I can prepare beforehand
Sure, I'll
all
do
the
that.
answers, looking
Okay.
around in the book.
Yep, I'll do that.
Thank you very
But yeah,
much.
we have just one more
That's all.
class of this.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is my last reminder to everybody, and I'll also put a message. I humbly request, if you haven't done your exams, please do them. I cannot go after each one of you to finish your exams. We are coming close to end of this Bhakti Shastri. We just have the 19 chapters of Nectar of Devotion left. So after that, obviously you all doing, it's a certificate course that you're doing. But if I don't have all the exams, I'll be bound. I can't do anything. It's not like, because as I said, it's